So I would just like to say something about what you just witnessed. And the reason that we did what we did is we had to make these votes while we still had a legal commission. The only way to make any of this work was to do that. And the reasoning for my adjournment, while it might have been handy and helpful to perhaps try to persuade him to resign, was that once we had a properly adjourned meeting, everything that we conducted here today is legal and finished. So it was, it all had to happen as it did, in the order that it did, and I just want to thank everybody here again for your support, your understanding, and the fact that you certainly played your part by your presence and helped us get this done by, you know, acting in the way that you did, and I, for one, appreciate that.
You see, you to finish it.
I know. May I ask a question? That's just a while we have the members of the delegation here, and they can see all the people that are here that won't fit into the county complex, can we be assured that we will have an intelligent person appointed to the commission? Yeah.
Not a free stater. They're asking a lot.
I'm just wondering if there's any other, I see a county commissioner here, I see delegation members. I don't know if anybody needs or would like to speak to the process, or if we're all good and we can kind of move along. I know we have a meeting to get noticed, the sooner the better, and hopefully in the meantime, Commissioner Schlang will you know what? This won't end up being into the official record of the meeting. I forgot about this, so I did have a statement that Tom Day asked me to read. Again, I apologize. The dynamics of what was going on here were pretty intense, and I think what I'll do is I'll start, maybe Commissioner Wood, unless you want to read the whole thing. You do have a more melodious voice than I do.
I'll save it for questions afterwards. But...
Okay.
I'm sorry, if I would have spoken more during that call, he might have abandoned ship even sooner, but without tendering his resignation. So I appreciate your recruitment and standing with this mountain and being here today. It's been a huge ordeal, and I commend the bravery of the wonderful representatives and representatives of our community, but mostly the employees of this mountain who've come through. Some of you may have gotten the wrong impression that I was considering resignation on Friday, and I just want to be completely clear. I fully intend to outlast any opposition, negative attitudes, or pettiness standing in the way of the success of this mountain and its employees. Maybe I thought I needed a whole weekend to restore my resolve, but just like always, when I arrive at the hill, God reminds me that I have strength that I didn't know I had. former general manager of Gunstock Mountain, today announced that he and other former senior managers would not be attending today's 1:30 p.m. meeting of the Gunstock Area Commission. As the stated reason is that until Gunstock Area Commissioner David Strang resigns, Dr. David Strang resigns, the management team is unwilling to return to the resort. They previously stated that they would return upon the resignation of Commissioners Peter Ness and Strang. Ness resigned at a GAC meeting last week, but Strang has refused to heed calls for his resignation, leading to the continued closure of Gunstock. Today's meeting was called by Strang, with the meeting agenda stating that he would be remaining on the commission and asking for Day and Director of Facility Operations, Pat McGonigal, to return to their management roles ahead of this coming weekend's Soulfest event. Day reiterated that until Strang resigns, he and his fellow managers will not be returning to the mountain. It was disingenuous of Strang to call this meeting today expecting us to come back to work for Soulfest, knowing our terms for returning have remained the same throughout this process. Both he and Ness need to resign. I can't breathe with these boys in here. Can you just pick up from there and...
Yeah. They also indicated it was always communicated that, quote, "We resigned as a team, it would need to return as a team." Day said he never communicated or discussed an option that would bring back only Day and McGonigal. And I can attest that I asked him, and it was categorically no. So despite what you heard earlier, that was never on the table, at least from my understanding. I'll continue. A recent development that imperils Soulfest is the imminent cancellation of Gunstock's insurance coverage from insurance carrier Safehold Special Risk. In an email to GAC Commissioner Lambert, Safehold indicated it has reservations about the resort's liability and property insurance coverage. Their primary concerns are lack of leadership, knowledge, and accreditation of various operations at the resort. They stated that they underwrote the resort's policy considering past and present knowledge of mechanical and physical equipment, as well as know-how of daily operations. They also contemplated a leadership team in place to provide direction and to help facilitate strategic emergency plans should they be needed. Without a leadership team in place, Safehold will cancel their insurance this coming week, resulting in the inability of the resort to host Soulfest or to have any employees allowed on site at the resort for any operations. Soulfest has stated its intention to hold Belknap County liable for any interruption to the event and will sue the county if this happens. Day stated, quote, "Strang's continued refusal to do the right thing and resign is now on the verge of shutting down Soulfest, as well as imperiling winter operations for the resort. We want to get back to work this week to protect Soulfest, protect Belknap County against potential lawsuits, and ensure that Soulfest's final year at Gunstock is successful. When Strang resigns, we will come back to work to run Soulfest and get the mountain back on track and open for this winter." They also reiterated that the leadership team had provided 2 weeks' notice, which would have provided time for them to create a transition plan. Instead, the GAC commissioners called the Belknap County Sheriff to remove the team from their offices the morning after their resignation, leaving the resort in chaos. It's hard to overstate the importance of Gunstock's economic impact to Belknap County and the entire Lakes region. It accounts for millions of dollars in income to area hotels, food and retail establishments. The former senior management team understands the impact to our staff and the region and are anxious to return to oversee the successful operation of Gunstock Mountain once again. So, as you heard from that, that's pretty much the same thing that Commissioners Wood and myself have been saying, and I can, now you've heard it for yourself. The county delegation has a full understanding of this, and in discussions, and quite frankly, meetings with several of them, they understand and actually approached me with this plan to act, because like everyone else in this room, and like the management team here, all the people in attendance, we all want the same thing. We want the mountain open, and I think all of us are willing to do everything that it takes to make that happen.
Almost all of us.
Just tell them to be ready to hit the ground running. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if people have questions or need to say something. I think it's pretty obvious what the job at hand is, and I'm hoping that the delegation has balls in motion with that document. I guess it is Sunday, and I can say that I've been here a lot. I'd like to roll, but
Good question.
Hearing from you is something that Commissioner Wood and myself have committed to. Let me just say one last thing. I was seriously contemplating resignation because of the potential exposure that I have for my family and to myself. But Commissioner Wood was my inspiration to hold off on that. I can tell you that this is the person you want on your team no matter what you're doing. She is it right there. So I guess we'll entertain.
So I have a quick question. Hello?
Over here.
Over here. Over here by the windows. I got a quick question. I'll hand you the mic next, all right? I was handed the mic. My name is Mark Petrazzi. I'm a resident of Guilford. And I've worked at Gunstock since 1984. And I still work here. I work on the ski patrol, and I know a lot of people in this room, and I love this place. My family loves this place. First off, I want to thank the two of you for standing up, for fulfilling your oath. And by the way, your statements last Tuesday, the most important thing that I heard was that you actually read parts of your oath and stood up to fulfill that oath. And I truly believe that Dr. Strang and Mr. Ness unfortunately either did not take it seriously or obviously did not fulfill it. But I don't want to ask a question, I don't want to say anything else, other than the fact I wanted to thank all of the folks that are standing along that wall that are here today. And I actually have a question. I actually have a question for all of you. And that is, unless I get my math wrong, is there's 18 of you. Is that correct? And at least as I understand it, there's really been 3 people, at least early on, that were pushing what got us in this mess and appointed certain people to the Gunstock Area Commission. And I just want to know if the rest of you, and there's a majority of the rest of you, that can actually overcome that and either reinstate Mr. Kadash and or appoint people going forward so that we've got 5 people that will fulfill their oath and commit to making Gunstock the best it can. That's what I want to know.
And again, this isn't a real meeting, but this is a real meeting.
All of my votes are going to be for somebody that's
it's neutral. I don't want anybody that's on the extreme on either side. Contrary to popular belief, there are extremists on both ends of the spectrum. I'm in the middle. And that's where I want to stay, that's where my votes are going to go. I want somebody who's qualified to do the job, but not already dug in on one side or the other. That's where I stand.
Thank you, Representative Dean. I just want to reiterate that there were a lot of very important lessons learned in this ordeal. And so, I can see that you recognize the situation, and I appreciate you stepping up to fulfill your oath and your obligation to this local economy and all these people standing before you. So thank you. And thank you for your commitment to the mountain too.
Just a quick question. I'm not sure this is a fact or not, but is it true when somebody attends one of these meetings by Zoom, they're supposed to tell where they are actually at physically? And in neither of the two meetings did Dave tell us that, or who was with it in the room with him.
At this point, I recognize that you were at the meeting on Friday, and also, again, thank you for your service, sir. I did call attention to the bylaws, and we will be taking a very close look at our bylaws going forward, of course. But we can all agree that this meeting was imperative, and we had to absolutely get it done. And yes, I did impress upon Dr. Strang and former Chairman Ness that we would have liked to have known where they were for the past 10 days at least.
Once again, I'd like to reiterate from the citizens of Guilford and Belknap County, thank you.
Dave Hershey, resident of Alton. Two things come to mind. One, I heard a reference that there were several texts going in and amongst the various players here. The thing that comes to mind is texts are not always retrievable, okay, in a court. Okay? I would encourage, especially when we're talking about a $10 to $15 million operation here, all correspondence are in the form of an email, and none of them are in the form of a text. Okay, so that's one thing. The other that I would like to kind of acknowledge, and I'm sure we all have, okay, we're here today and we're in this predicament, okay, by perhaps a lack of initial and early intervention from our representatives.
Yes.
Okay, so this is kind of like a day late, dollar short, okay, but better late than never, all right? So while people are stepping up to the plate now, great, but let's not forget how we got here, okay?
Yeah.
And like cancer, we may be getting rid of one tumor and perhaps a second tumor, but we have to be careful that it doesn't come back again.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, thank you.
So I can assure you that while you may not have heard everything publicly, these gentlemen have been searching to find a solution to this. And much like Commissioners Wood and myself, when this all began on July 20th, okay, we had no warning, we had no planning, we had no idea. And everything that has happened and that we have done of all players, we had to figure it out as we went along. And I think it's not fair to say that they've been, only stepping up at this time. I can tell you that I personally have been meeting tirelessly, whether here at the mountain with staff, who have been most gracious. And I just, to watch them step up and to make this Soul Fest, to get it to the point where it's at right now without the leadership team, has been nothing short of a miracle. And it was in honor, and Commissioner Wood and myself were in on some of their meetings to watch them in action. And those people really stepped up, and they were fantastic. But I think that maybe down the road we can find villains. But I think for now, I just want everybody to understand that there are plenty of heroes that go all around on all sides. And I must say that when we talk about the word side, I don't think there are any sides in this issue. The only side that we have is a mountain side, and it's out there, and that's why we're doing it.
Hi, my name is Denise Conroy, and I'm from Alden, and one of the things...
Turn your mic on.
Can you guys hear me now?
Oh, perfect.
Awesome. So Denise Conroy from Alden, and one of the things I just want to point out, so as a newbie, I've only lived here for 3 years, when I was trying to get my arms around what was going on here, I went back and read the delegation minutes for the last 4 years as well as the GAC minutes. And I think it was mentioned earlier that we need someone who's neutral. We need even more than that. We need someone who has business experience and wants to partner with management. Great for-profit boards, and I know because I'm a 26-year vet, I've been a CEO, a board member, the chief marketing officer at HGTV. A great board advises, they oversee, absolutely, and they partner with management.
No fooling.
You lead that horse to water. You don't beat the horse to get to water, right?
Right.
You lead them there, and you uplift, encourage, all of it. So the one thing I would say is, and I would love from the folks who are here, who are elected representatives, you need a person who is cool-headed, who wants to be a bridge for management, who can actually help these two, who have put themselves, honestly, I mean, we've said this over and over again, a lot of us don't share the same political stripe. That's not what this is about. This is about running a great business and supporting the management of that business. That's what it's about. So I would really, really encourage the delegation to actually, don't vote in one of your buddies who votes the way you do, okay? You need to vote in somebody who you think can serve on a board and do a good job. And that may require you, it's getting crazy in here, to be uncomfortable. And that's okay. Because this has taught us that this is what we never want again. So.
I'm not a resident of the county, but I work in gun stock, and I just want to say, this is a business of people. We serve people. The model has to be treat one another the way you want us to treat the people that come with us. So, I didn't know who this was going to go to, but I know Jay can't drink it. But this just says thank you, team, right?
So one last point for me, and that is, as I understand it, we have a pending cancellation for our insurance at Gunstock, for property insurance and for liability insurance. And if I recall correctly, it was approximately a week from today, plus or minus a couple of days, okay? What is your concrete and specific plan to prevent that cancellation from taking place, resulting in all of the taxpayers in Belknap County self-insuring the property and liability exposure?
So, in reading Mr. Day's statement, it's in conversations with existing staffers. Well, there hasn't been a letter that has been sent expressing their concerns. To my knowledge, there is no letter stating a definitive date or time or specific threat of anything like that. We've been in somewhat constant communication with staff here on the ground who, quite frankly, it is their job to interact with this, which You know, honestly, one of the things I've learned as commissioner is this insurance is unlike any other insurance that any of us would be familiar with. Sorry. So it's a very dynamic thing, but I have been assured that at this point, other than the zip line and the lifts and such, that everything is still all systems go otherwise.
Thank you for clarifying.
I just have a question. The two of you have been putting in endless hours working with everyone here, and I know everybody appreciates it beyond what you could ever imagine. Just for the record, can you just tell me, since this started, how many days, hours, minutes, seconds has Commissioner Strang spent here working at the mountain, as he puts it, to save gun stock? Can you put a number to that for the press and everyone else?
With 0.
His email is available. If you go to the community portion of the website and you scroll to the commissioners, you can actually ask that question yourself. And I would encourage all of you to do that until he officially resigns.
I bet there won't be many spaces in that number, if any at all.
And I also, I'm sad to say that I can't confirm that he even reads those emails, so you can send them to me and I will dispatch them by carrier pigeon if that's what it takes.
Well, thank you. It's a great way for them to save the mountain, obviously.
You done?
No.
Oh, I thought
Does anybody else have any other comments?
Thank you.
Croc TV.